This valuation slide captures Newmont's story very well. Not a classic steady compounder, but a world-class miner whose valuation keeps swinging with bullion, costs, and confidence in the portfolio. The historical success is clear. Newmont used the Newcrest deal and the later divestiture program to reshape itself into a more concentrated Tier 1 portfolio, and by 2025 that translated into real financial strength. 5.9 million attributable gold ounces, $7.2 billion of net income, $7.6 billion of adjusted net income, a record $7.3 billion of free cash flow, $3.4 billion returned to shareholders, and year-end net cash of $2.1 billion. But the historical mistake investors make with Newmont is always the same. They either price it like a permanent gold ATM at cycle peaks, or like a capital-heavy ex-growth miner when sentiment turns cold. Both views are too simple. This is still a cyclical business. Grade, jurisdiction, sustaining capital, project timing, and gold prices matter enormously. That is why the stock has moved in waves on your chart instead of following a smooth compounding path. Now to the present. Your chart ends around $106, but the live market price is closer to $116.50 as of April 17th. That rebound makes sense. Gold blasted above $5,100 per oz in January and was still around $4,861 per oz on April 17th, which has kept the whole gold miner group well supported. At the same time, Newmont reports Q1 2026 results after the close on April 23rd, so the stock is sitting in front of a very real near-term catalyst. What makes the current setup interesting is that Newmont is no longer being judged only on gold prices. Investors are also judging whether 2025 was a one-off windfall year or the beginning of a cleaner, more durable cash generation story. Management's 2026 guide points to about 5.3 million gold ounces, gold byproduct AISC around $1,680 per oz, $1.95 billion of sustaining capital, and $1.4 billion of development capital. In other words, production is expected to step down from 2025 while investment steps up. That creates a very different market debate than last year's simple gold up, stock up trade. So the real takeaway from this chart is this. Newmont is still a high-quality miner, but it is not priced like a no-risk compounder. Today's price reflects much more optimism than the chart's old endpoint, yet the stock still trades like a miner whose upside depends on bullion staying strong, costs staying controlled, and the reinvestment cycle actually delivering. If gold remains elevated and management turns today's balance sheet strength into longer-lived, higher-quality production, the upside remains real. If not, Newmont can still fall back into the old pattern where great commodity prices mask a less consistent operating story. Let's go straight into the risks, because with Newmont, the biggest danger is not that the company suddenly becomes low quality. The real danger is that investors mistake a very strong gold environment for permanent business simplification. The number one risk is obvious. Gold itself. Newmont's 2025 cash flow looked exceptional partly because bullion was exceptional. If gold prices cool materially from these record levels, margins and sentiment can compress fast, especially in a stock that has already rebounded hard from the chart's old level. The second risk is cost pressure. Management's own 2026 guidance calls for lower production than 2025 and higher gold byproduct AISC at about $1,680 per oz. That matters. In mining, even when realized prices stay attractive, the market gets nervous if the next year looks less efficient than the last one. Newmont is also spending heavily on sustaining and development capital, including critical work at Cadia and Boddington plus growth projects at Cadia Panel Caves, Tanami Expansion 2 and Red Chris. Jurisdiction risk is another real issue. Ghana said it plans to scrap mining stability agreements and raise royalties, and Reuters specifically noted that Newmont's expired Ghana stability agreement would not be renewed. For a global miner, portfolio quality is not just geology, it is also politics, taxes, and regulatory predictability. Then there is execution risk. Ahafo North is now in commercial production, Lihir's nearshore barrier extension has been approved, and the company is advancing major brownfield and life extension work. Strategically, that is the right posture. But miners often disappoint not because the assets are bad, but because the timing, cost, or technical execution lands worse than the market expected. Key takeaway, Newmont's 2026 risk is not collapse. It is that a miner coming off a record free cash flow year runs into lower output, higher spending, jurisdiction pressure, or a softer gold tape before investors are ready to forgive it. Now the opportunity side, because Newmont is no longer just a gold beta story. In the short term, the most obvious lever is simple: gold prices stay high. When bullion is near record territory, large producers with scale, liquidity, and operating leverage can surprise on free cash flow even when volume is not perfect. That matters a lot heading into the April 23 Q1 print. Second, capital returns are now a more important part of the story than they used to be. Newmont's new framework targets about $1.1 billion of annual cash dividends, keeps a $1 billion net cash target with a wide tolerance band, and still had roughly $2.4 billion of buyback authorization remaining as of the February update. That makes the stock more investable through the cycle, because the bull case is no longer only hope for higher gold. Third, the portfolio is cleaner. The non-core divestiture program is complete, and management has already shown it can turn those proceeds into a stronger balance sheet and larger shareholder returns. That simplification matters because miners usually trade better when investors can focus on fewer, longer life, higher quality assets. Longer term, the real upside is project quality. Ahafo North adds profitable ounces, Lihir's extension unlocks more than 5 million ounces and pushes mine life beyond 2040, and 2026 development capital is being directed toward Cadia Panel Caves, Tanami Expansion 2, and Red Chris. That is the kind of pipeline that can turn a great gold year into a longer duration production and cash flow story. Newmont's upside is not just that gold is high today. It is that a stronger balance sheet, cleaner asset base, and deeper project pipeline could make the company more durable through the next cycle than the market has historically been willing to assume. Newmont's analyst picture is constructive. 4 strong buys, 13 buys, 3 holds, 1 sell, and 0 strong sells. That tells you Wall Street is broadly positive on the setup, but not blindly euphoric. And that makes sense. The bullish case is easy to see. Record $7.3 billion of free cash flow in 2025, a net cash position of $2.1 billion, completed divestitures, a higher dividend, large buyback capacity, and a gold price backdrop that has stayed historically strong in 2026. On top of that, Newmont is still the scale leader in listed gold mining, and it reports Q1 results on April 23, which gives the market another near-term catalyst. The cautious camp is looking at something else. 2026 production is guided lower than 2025, ASC is guided higher, development spending is rising, and jurisdiction issues like Ghana royalties remind investors that miners never become set and forget stories. So the debate is not really about whether Newmont is strong. It is about whether peak gold prices are already doing too much of the work. So the takeaway is simple. Analysts like the company, but the next move higher probably depends on proof that Newmont can convert an exceptional gold tape into durable per-share value creation, not just one more strong quarter.